In the dense and humid rainforests of the world, a chilling and macabre phenomenon unfolds daily, unseen by most humans. It involves a fungus, Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, that turns ants into real-life zombies. This fungus's life cycle and its horrifying method of reproduction showcase a nightmarish example of nature's dark side. Ophiocordyceps unilateralis is a parasitic fungus primarily targeting ants, particularly the Campanatini tribe. The infection begins when an ant comes into contact with fungal spores while foraging. These microscopic spores attach to the ant's exoskeleton and secrete enzymes that degrade the tough exterior, allowing the fungus to infiltrate the ant's body. Once inside, the spores develop into mycelium, the vegetative part of the fungus. This mycelium spreads throughout the ant's body, feeding on its internal organs and tissues. As the fungus grows, it releases chemicals that interfere with the ant's central nervous system. This process can take anywhere from a few days to a couple of weeks, depending on environmental conditions. The most terrifying aspect of Ophiocordyceps unilateralis is its ability to control its host behavior. As the fungus matures inside the ant, it secretes compounds that hijack the ant's brain, compelling it to leave its colony. The infected ant is driven to climb vegetation, typically a plant or tree, to a height optimal for the fungus's growth. In a gruesome ritual, the ant is forced to bite down on a leaf or twig in a death grip, using its mandibles. This behavior, known as the summit disease, ensures that the ant remains anchored in place. The fungus then kills the ant, and its body serves as a platform for the next stage of the fungal life cycle. After the ant's death, the fungus continues to grow, eventually breaking through the ant's exoskeleton. A stalk, called the stroma, emerges from the back of the ant's head. This stalk will produce a spore-releasing structure, which looks like a tiny, sinister flower. The fungus releases new spores from this structure into the environment, ideally in a location where they can infect other ants passing by on the forest floor. The cycle begins anew as these spores land on unsuspecting ants, perpetuating the horrifying process. The phenomenon of zombie ants might sound like something out of a horror movie, but it plays a significant role in the ecosystem. By controlling ant populations, Ophiocordyceps unilateralis helps maintain a balance within the insect community. Ants, being highly social and populous insects, could potentially dominate and disrupt ecosystems without such natural checks. Additionally, the death of infected ants and their positioning in elevated locations can benefit the surrounding plant life. The nutrients from the decaying ant bodies can enrich the soil, and their elevated position can aid in the dispersal of plant seeds and fungal spores, contributing to forest health and diversity. The study of Ophiocordyceps unilateralis has fascinated scientists for years. Researchers have investigated how the fungus can so precisely manipulate ant behavior. It has been found that the fungus does not directly infect the ant's brain, but instead releases chemicals that affect the brain's control over the muscles. Studies have also explored the genetic and molecular mechanisms behind this parasitic relationship. Understanding these processes could have broader implications, including insights into parasitism, host-pathogen interactions, and even potential applications in medicine and pest control. The story of Ophiocordyceps unilateralis and its zombification of ants is a chilling reminder of the complex and often brutal interactions that occur in nature. This fungus's life cycle, from infection to mind control and eventual spore dispersal, is a dark marvel of evolutionary adaptation. While it may seem horrifying, the existence of such organisms highlights the delicate balance of ecosystems and the intricate relationships between species. The zombie ant fungus serves as a stark example of how life forms can evolve extraordinary methods to survive and reproduce, even if those methods are straight out of a nightmare. In the murky depths of warm freshwater bodies around the world, a horrifying menace lies in wait. Naegleria fowleri, the brain-eating amoeba. This microscopic terror is capable of causing a rare but nearly always fatal brain infection known as primary amebic meningoencephalitis, PAM. The horror of Naegleria fowleri is not just in its devastating effects, but in the sheer speed and brutality with which it devastates its victims. Naegleria fowleri thrives in warm, stagnant freshwater environments like lakes, hot springs, and poorly maintained swimming pools. It flourishes in water temperatures as high as 115 degrees Fahrenheit, 46 degrees Celsius, making it a particular threat during the hot summer months. Although it is found globally, the majority of infections are reported in warmer regions, such as the southern United States, where the amoeba's ideal conditions are prevalent. The nightmare begins when an individual is exposed to water contaminated with Naegleria fowleri. Infection occurs when the amoeba enters the body through the nasal passages, typically during water-related activities such as swimming or diving. Once inside, the amoeba embarks on a terrifying journey up the olfactory nerve to the brain. There, it starts its gruesome work, feeding on brain tissue and causing widespread, irreversible damage. As Naegleria fowleri invades the brain, it triggers severe inflammation and destruction of brain matter. The early symptoms of PAM are distressingly similar to those of bacterial meningitis. Intense headaches, high fever, nausea, vomiting, and a stiff neck. However, the true horror begins as the infection progresses. Victims may experience rapid onset of confusion, severe hallucinations, and violent seizures, quickly followed by coma. The brain becomes a battleground, and death usually occurs within a week to 10 days after symptoms appear. Diagnosing PAM is a nightmarish challenge. The infection's rarity and the similarity of its early symptoms to other illnesses make timely diagnosis extremely difficult. Most cases are only confirmed after death through postmortem examination. Even when diagnosed early, treatment options are woefully inadequate. The few survivors have received experimental drugs like miltefosine alongside other aggressive therapies, but survival rates remain dismally low, with fatalities exceeding 97%. Despite its horrifying impact, Naegleria fowleri infections are exceptionally rare. Fewer than 150 cases have been documented in the U.S. over the past 5 decades. Nonetheless, the swift and brutal progression of the disease makes it a significant concern. Public health guidelines recommend avoiding activities in warm freshwater during hot periods and taking precautions such as using nose clips or keeping the head above water. For nasal irrigation, it is crucial to use sterile or distilled water to prevent the amoeba from entering the body. Research into Naegleria fowleri offers unsettling insights into how this amoeba wreaks havoc on the human brain. Scientists are delving into the mechanisms of its invasion and the severe damage it inflicts, hoping to find ways to combat this microscopic menace. Advances in understanding the amoeba's behavior and effects might one day lead to better treatments and preventive measures. The grim reality of Naegleria fowleri underscores the precarious and often hidden dangers of our environment. The brain-eating amoeba serves as a chilling reminder of how microscopic organisms can pose deadly threats. Ongoing research and public health efforts strive to mitigate the risk and protect individuals from the horror of this pathogen. In the face of such terrifying threats, vigilance and knowledge are our best defenses against the invisible horrors lurking beneath the surface.